On the 29th of May 1999, Nigeria crossed another watershed in its political history after 16 years of military rule. The then head of state, General Abdulsalami Abubakar, organized a transition to civil rule program that ushered in fresh elections in 1999. Former military ruler Olusegun Obasanjo, who also handed over power to a civilian government in 1979, became the new president. Since then, Nigeria has been enjoying 22 years of uninterrupted democracy and the hope of a brighter future since 1999, since May 29, 1999, that's Obasanjo. So we can say it's no longer fashionable around the world. It's no longer fashionable in Africa for military incursion. So any country that
African countries are still toppling democratically elected governments.
They are
Especially in West Africa.
and
Especially in West Africa.
Burkina
We've
Faso.
seen it. We've seen it in Mali. We've seen it in Guinea. We've seen it in Burkina Faso. Nobody knows where they are going next.
but we are enjoying a form of stability.
Yes, for us, it's something to be happy about. As I will give Gawan so much credit for running Nigeria during the Civil War, for the way he tried to reintegrate our people, coming up with the idea of unity schools, coming up with NYC, coming up with federal character principle, just so that every Nigerian feels wanted within the federation. And then, of course, his proclamation of no victor, no vanquished, So he did well. But like other military rulers, he wasn't really concerned about transition to civil rule. And when they were going to take power from him, it was one of the things that they complained about. Look, 9 years, there was no transition to civil rule program in place. So Gawan, a gentleman, a patriot in his own right, you can credit him with some achievements. Now, Obasanjo came in 1999, a former military ruler, and there were some things that you could actually point at. Obasanjo, in terms of strengthening institutions, I think Obasanjo played a good part. He still ranks as one of the best leaders of government that Nigeria has had. Obasanjo created the FCC, the ICPC. These are institutions that ordinarily, they are fully empowered and given the independence that they need. Honestly, it will go a long way in helping us to defeat corruption. But as you know, politicians will always come up with not just financial but political corruption. And we've not seen the EFCC and the ICPC that Obasanjo created, we've not seen them work to their full potential. But at least you give him credit for that. And of course, as a military ruler, you can give him credit for some of the infrastructure developments that happened. Like the airport here in Lagos. A lot of infrastructure development happened during the military era, no doubt about it. If you compare them, the civilians with the military delivered far more infrastructure than civilian regimes.
Maybe because they didn't have that bureaucracy.
There was a lot of money.
The democracy.
Yes, that's a factor. And then they were there during the boom time. The boom time of our country.
They had access into that
when
money, and nobody could restrain
was Gawan that even said that we had money, but we don't even know
how to spend
what to do with it. They were around when things were really good for us as a nation. Things began to collapse with the structural adjustment program, which IBB came up with, and things have been really bad for us since then. But we'll still give them credit for some of the infrastructure that they deliver, including even the building of Abuja, because if you are to build Abuja today, only God knows how much it will cost. I don't think all Nigerian banks put together can fund it. Even the Third Mainland Bridge, If you are to build it now, you know what that means. So, Obasanjo,
We've been grappling with the Fort Milan Bridge.
still there. Obasanjo, apart from the third term that he tried to get through the back door, I think he was a good president. In terms of security, he dealt with security very well. But that blot, that third term, remains a blot on his scorecard.
What Jide is saying now is that since that 1999, there've been a kind of downward slide. Obasanjo, best we could get since 1999. Nobody will tell you that Goodluck was better than Obasanjo. Or nobody could tell you that, you know, because Yar'Adua was short-lived, the Goodluck administration, and what we have now. And it's kind of scary. That is it that we'll be witnessing this downward trend?
Well, I think one thing we should also not forget is that Obasanjo was lucky. In 1999, there was a whole lot of international goodwill when he came to power in 1999. We were just coming out of military rule, traumatic military rule. And there was so much support from international agencies, from civil society. Everybody was looking at Nigeria as, you know, the new renaissance. So I think for 8 years, he tried his best, like Babajide said. The only area was that a lot of Nigerians also feel he should have addressed the fundamental issues that, you know, we were talking about federalism, restructuring and all that, which is the issue we are still coming back to now, several years after he left. And I also think his the relationship between the executive and the legislature was not something that good compared with what we have now, even in spite of the flaws of the current regime. I remember how many Senate presidents we had at that time, and then also intervention in affairs of states, you know, seizing local government funds, and you know, some governors being removed, and then you could see the hands of the presidency in it. We are not seeing that happening now, which shows that irrespective of the good aspect of Obasanjo, there are some other dark spots. And also irrespective of what you can say is bad about this regime, the Babangida Buhari's regime, there are some things that we cannot also take away from the government. But I think what is important is that we have had 6 transitions since 1999 without military coup, which shows that civilian government can actually be sustained, irrespective of the challenges, irrespective of the tribulations, that we don't necessarily need to topple the government. You know, we are always going to get out of it. And I think as we look up to 2023, we should focus on individuals and people that can actually address the fundamental problems, you know, especially when we're talking about the economy, and also to look at the structure of the Nigerian state. I hope that is what we are going to be demanding from those that are, you know, going to contest in the coming election.
Okay, also joining us now is Kolawole Johnson. Kolawole Johnson is a journalist. Thank you for joining us. Is Kola there? Okay, while we are waiting, okay.
Thank you. I can hear you. I can hear you.
Yes, I can hear you, Kola, now.
Thank you.
Yes.
Good to be here.
Tell us about, we've had a kind of stability since 1999.
All right.
Tell us about democracy. Yes, Nigeria is 62, and we have 22 years. We've enjoyed 22 years of uninterrupted democratic rule.
It's of course it's I have listened to you the last 20 minutes or thereabouts, and I can see the guests in the studio and Ajide, you know, trying to make sense of the situation. For us to understand this period, you need to perhaps look at the structural and the empirical analysis of 2 things: the economy of leadership and the politics of leadership. I think that has defined this present democratic experiment that we have. Sure, it is no longer popular for military to intervene at will, but it is also becoming popular for the people to directly intervene in the political affair, because by and large, it is the delivery of dividends that the people are looking for, either in a military or a democratic regime. However, we have said over and again that the worst of democratic rule, should be better than the military rule. But some are saying you need to look at your environment, domesticate the kind of government you want to see. Is democracy working for us? Now, if it is working for us, our kind of democratic rule, the style of our government we have adopted, is it the best for the system on ground now? If you look at us very well, we started with the parliamentary approach. And if you ask me, I think if we go back to that, we may likely be better for it as a nation. I'm not saying that what we have now, it's not good enough. However, you'll be able to have leaders interface with the people some more. I remember 2 years ago or thereabouts, or last year, the National Assembly wanted to see the president, and that never happened. So I think, despite the good side of what we have on ground, we should look into the system, into our system, and try to see if we can change it. Maybe that will be better for us. Number one. Number two, we should strengthen our institutions more. Of course, we're doing better these days. We should look at strengthening our institutions, not for the sake of the politician, but for the sake of the people. Then three, this government is doing something that's, of course, very, 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 very commendable. You've seen projects not abandoned. They've been carrying on with projects of the past government, and this is what you want to see, as we go, on. And as we approach 2023 in this democratic experiment, you should start seeing leaders engaging the people the more. Now, I say that with every sense of responsibility, because as it were now, you see the yearnings on the street, the anger you see is not really, it is only working for a certain individual, not because he merits it after all, but because he has learned the approach of engaging the people the more. So I think we should have the leaders engaging the people, and that is one major reason why I think we should experiment or explore the parliamentary approach. In that, the leader will certainly, be engaging the people more and more. Then I think, again, we need to also look deeply into policy formulations and implementation. We should perhaps adopt the bottom to top approach some more. Maybe that will help us, because you can't sit in the villa and assume that you know what the people want. So if we should, engage the people some more, they get to know we don't have that resources that can cover everywhere. However, if we prioritize by looking, by taking proper needs assessment, I think, we'll do more. But we should congratulate ourselves as a nation. Some said there's nothing to celebrate. I strictly object to that. We have so much to celebrate. The fact that the people are even waking up, the more, questioning the leaders. These are things to celebrate in the system. However, we must redirect, our anger. We must direct our anger properly so that you don't make the mistake of the past again. Thank you.